Welcome back to the Personal Trainer Playbook. Today, we are talking about the 5 types of personal training clients. So as you can see from the picture, one of those types will be petite Asian women, and the other type will be women with one arm. So those are going to be the first 2 of the 5. No, I'm kidding, of course. But these are the pictures that PowerPoint gives us, so this is what we work with. So as you go through your personal training career, you're going to work with a lot of different types of people. In my experience, there's been 5 sort of archetypes for what kinds of people they are, what kinds of clients they are to deal with, and what you can do to make it the most successful training relationship possible. So, without further ado, let's go into those 5 and how we're going to treat those different types of clients. So, number 1, the bro getter. This is somebody who is typically a C-suite executive. Maybe they're higher up at, a law firm or a financial institution, Wall Street guy, day trader, whatever. And it doesn't have to be a guy. This can be women as well. I just like the sound of the bro getter. And these are type A people. They're high achievers. They're high performers. They're typically well educated, maybe Ivy League, whatever, med school, grad school, whatever. They're performance oriented and performance based and performance driven. So the tricky thing for you as the trainer is they're going to want to see performance. So let's first start with how they're great. They love to train and they love the training process. So you can see how the training process lends itself to high performers and high achievers because you can constantly see progress. You can constantly track your performance, and it just fits well with their personality. So in that way, it's a great thing. They're going to love to train. They're going to love to be in the gym. How they kind of suck. They're going to be pretty anal about results, not that kind of anal, but the good anal about results, and they're going to hold you to it. So if you use something like an InBody to track, body fat and muscle mass, they're going to want to see progress. And if they don't see progress, they're going to want to know why. And these are typically the people that are going to be doing stuff on their own. If you tell them to do stuff on their own, they will do it. So this is going to put a lot of pressure on you as a coach to get them the results they're looking for and to be sort of, you're not just a babysitter like we'll see later on. You're an actual coach and they are actually going to hold you to the result. So how do you handle them? Well, one of the things that you might need to do with these people is you're going to have to reel them back in some cases. They're going to want to do too much. They're going to want too much information. They're going to want just more of everything. And a lot of times you have to, cut them off from the hose a little bit. So give them enough information so that they can improve, but do not give them so much information that they drown themselves in it, because they will if given the opportunity. Okay, number 2, the nervous Nelly. This is the person that is typically middle-aged, a little bit of a hypochondriac, a little bit of a nervous and cautious personality. They're not the keenest on the gym. They've probably been hurt before, maybe in the gym, maybe outside of the gym, but they've dealt with injuries in the past. And their sort of outlook on the gym is, this is a place where people get hurt. And you need to rid them of that as quickly as you can with, the proper empathy, because again, these people probably have dealt with injuries in the past. So they're very hesitant about things. And you need to kind of get this out of them if you can. Now, what's the good thing about the nervous Nelly? Well, the nervous Nelly will be very, very cautious, but they'll also listen to you. They're going to use you as a guide, and they don't want to do this alone because they're nervous. That's their whole deal. They're uncomfortable in the gym, and they're looking to you to provide some comfort. So do that for them. Be that comfortable, guiding force, and don't try to push them too far out of their comfort zone, because they will not react well to that. And how do they kind of suck? Well, they don't push themselves. They won't push themselves. They're afraid of getting hurt constantly. Okay, so this is a battle you're going to have to fight with them all the time. I've had nervous Nelly clients. Every time I hand them heavier weight than we just did the week before, they get super nervous, said, oh no, we can't go from 10 to 15. That's what I got hurt last time. Okay, well, we've been doing 10 for 4 weeks now. Now's the time to up the weight. So you've constantly got to remind them that the gym is a place where the training you do is going to result in better health outcomes. It's not going to result in you getting hurt as long as we don't train like a dipshit. And if you don't train like a dipshit, you're not going to get hurt. Now, is it possible to get hurt in the gym? Absolutely. Is it likely? No, it's not. Make that clear to them in a respectful way, in an empathetic way, but make it clear the gym is not a place where people get hurt most of the time. Number 3, the cancel machine. This, depending on which trainer you talk to and what kind of trainer you talk to, this could either be the greatest client in the world or the worst client in the world. No. So why is it great? First of all, who is this person? Well, they're typically the same, maybe the same C-suite executive that we said was the bro getter originally, or they could be a trust fund kid whose parents pay for their training and they just don't give a shit and they're not invested and they cancel on you all the time. I've had clients like this. And they're not invested in the training process. They don't typically see progress because of that. And they treat you as if you are there as a placeholder in their calendar in case they want to show up. Now, what's the good part of that? Well, the good part of that is if you're a gym or you have a cancellation policy, inside of 24 hours that they cancel, you get a free session. You get a free hour. You get paid for not doing anything. My argument would be that's not the greatest way to spend an hour for you. My argument would be I would rather get paid to do my job and actually show some progress with somebody and work with somebody. I just don't want to get paid for sitting around with my thumb up my butt. And, this person's not going to cancel the day before. Most times they're going to cancel 5 minutes before. So it's not really enough time for you to set up something else and use that hour effectively. Maybe you could work out, maybe read a book, whatever. It's still not an effective use of your time, and it's not a appropriate way to treat a professional. So I really don't like the cancel machines. They piss me off. And if you can rid themselves of them, you should. And keep them if you need to have, whatever. You got to make that hour, you got to make the session. But once you have the ability and once you have somebody else to fill in that spot, try to get rid of these people. Have a talk with them. Say, listen, we've, worked together for X amount of time. You cancel quite a bit. I want to know what we can do to improve that so that you're not canceling. But if this continues, I'm going to have to put someone else in here that I think I can work with long-term, that I'm going to make some actual progress with. Number 4, the wise man or woman. These are the old retired folk. And these people you can learn just as much from as they will learn from you during the training process. And I have a soft spot for these people because I love training older people because of exactly what I said. They just know a lot of shit. You know why? They've been on the earth longer than me and you. And if they've been on the earth longer than me and you, they've just picked some things up along the way that they're usually willing to share with you if you fucking listen. So why are they great? They can train anytime typically. They're usually retired. They don't have to train at 6 a.m. They can usually train at 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. when you can't fill that spot normally. They can pay because they've taken care of their money because they're not an idiot. And they see the value in training. These might be older folks that got some bruises. They might be, dealing with some sort of chronic disease at this point in their life. They can see and they can feel what training will do to their life and what the improvements that they can make are right away. This is a great set of people to work with because they make you actually feel like you're doing something during that training session. Why they might suck a little bit? Well, it's not the most exciting training session from a programming perspective. I've had older clients where, the first 6-7 weeks I worked with a client, we were working on sitting up out of a chair. And we were doing some very light rotational drills and things that weren't the most sexy, but that's what he needed at the time. And eventually we got past that, but at the beginning it was slow. And that's okay. I mean, that will challenge you as a trainer to come up with different ways that you can regress things to make it appropriate for these people. But take the long view. Training this person long-term is going to really benefit them and you. Why is it going to benefit you? They're just going to let you know, and they're going to give you some secrets about life that you're not going to get from the 22-year-old Instagram model. You might want to look at her and it might be fun to look, but she's not going to give you life advice that's actually going to be valuable for you. So these are some of my favorite people to train. I love the older clients I've had, and you should seek some of these out and try to get as much life advice from them as possible. And number 5, I call this person Baby Huey. And the reason I do this is because they're an adult child. They don't treat the training process with the kind of respect that I think it should be treated with, and they treat you as the trainer as a babysitter. You are there so that they can check the box that they exercised for that day. They can go home. They can tell their friends, hey, I worked out today. I made no progress. I don't work very hard. I don't respect my trainer, but at least I did it. That's who Baby Huey is. Now, I've had a lot of Baby Hueys. They're not bad people. I've enjoyed working with some of them. And as you see in why they're great, they show up because they can afford it and they want to check the box. And if they're a cool guy or gal, they might be interesting to talk to, and that might be a fun hour for you. It sucks training them because they're never going to make any progress because they're not invested. They will not train on their own. They will not take your nutrition advice. They will not do anything that is needed to make progress in the gym outside of that hour with you. And in that hour with you, they're not pushing themselves and they're not working very hard. Again, they are an adult child. They act childlike and they treat the session as if they're going to kindergarten and you're the teacher. Now, they'll listen to you while they're in the session because you're the teacher and what you say goes, but you're not getting any extra effort out of them and they will not progress because of this. So I like to coach them hard in that hour and coach them as I normally would, but you have to deal with the fact that they're probably not going to make the progress you're expecting and just be okay with that because maybe they're okay with it. Maybe just checking the box is all they're after. And if it is, then fine. Just let them be that. That's their problem, and there's nothing you can do to solve it. Okay, that's it for today on the Personal Trainer Playbook. See you guys next time.